Alright, I get it. Good afternoon, Genesys gamers. I'm MBT, and this is 100 Point Playtesting. I just want to shout out a comment that I got in a previous episode of this show, in which a duelist thanked me for showing off one of the less powerful Genesys decks of the format in Monarch. Monarch's crazy good. In fact, a lack of the TCG's turn-ending hand traps permits a number of decks that automatically win the match provided they win the die roll about 100% of the time. To illustrate this point, I'd like to introduce you to the other die roll auto-win deck in the format, a deck you might be wholly unfamiliar with if all you've played is the TCG. Presenting Galaxy Photon.
Turn off your Galaxy Note 7s immediately.
So here's the list, ethically sourced from I Wish I Was Dead. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Looking for a place to find inspiration for Genesys decks? Well, look no further. I've already spent years telling you about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the best repository of deck lists, strategy articles, third-party assistance with alternate ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, and card collection management on the internet. But right now, it's also the best way to find Genesys lists. You can sort by deck type, filter high-level tournaments to see what's been working, and download decks you see in any format you desire. That's why I'm proud to be sponsored by www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's get into Galaxy Photon. Galaxy Photon is a tough deck to talk about, mostly because it doesn't have an obvious TCG analog. In Advanced, the Galaxy pieces are fine, but disruptible enough that people aren't even sold on if the deck should go first or utilize its incredible going second potential. In Genesys, however, it does something no other deck can. Sets up 3 Omni Negates. By weaving through their generic 4 into Dragluxion setups, this deck has an unmatched ability not only to build a board, but protect it with the literal best negation trap ever printed, Tachyon Transmigration. No deck in Genesys can stand up to 3 chain wipes, so the remainder of the list can be teched out to beat the few decks that can impede your setup with hand traps. Here we're using the Regenesis monsters. It turns out there's more than a few 2500s sprinkled throughout the archetype. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, we're playing a playset of Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Primal, Galaxy Soldier, and Tachyon Cloud Dragon. After that, we're playing one Galaxy Summoner, a Photon Vanisher, a Gept, and an Afterglow. Afterglow is the heart and soul of the deck, and hilariously will trigger even if the monster it is being detached from is negated, as you'll see in the games. We're playing some generic 4 suites. That's because our rank 4, 15 points by the way, is just so absolutely impressive. Here, surfacing Big Jaws and 1 copy of Poplar Shark, Drake Shark. After that, we've got the Regenesys, 3 Archfiend, 1 Sage, and 1 Dragon. Of course, we've got that Warrior in the side deck as well. Finally, we're on 1 Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaiju, and then spells. 3 7th Ascension, 3 7th Tachyon, and 3 Regenesis Code. For traps, we're on 3 Tachyon Transmigration. Trinities go at the end of the deck list. Let's talk about our pointed cards. We've got 1 Schwarzschild Infinity Dragon. This card is just so unbelievably powerful. The number one thing that this is stopped by in the TCG is Ash Blossom. Here, of course, you don't really have to worry about that card for the most part, and importantly, it dodges targeted negation by summoning the monster from deck as part of the condition of summoning the card. After that, we've got 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being and 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. In the extra, where most of our points live, we have Divine Golden Shadow Dragon Dragluxion. We've got Galaxy Photon Dragon here at 15, Cypher Blade, Cypher, Full Armor Photon, number 101 Silent Honor Arc, which is both a 7th Tachyon target for our surfacing Big Jaws and a decent monster. 2 copies of 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. It is repeatable, this setup, and importantly, you don't want to get Kashtira unicorned by the various effects that do that in this format. 1 Hope Harb, 1 Stealth Kragan, 1 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon. Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord is a measly 10. Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon comes up if you use our last pointed card, Rank Up Magic, the 7th one, which can be cheated out courtesy of 7th Ascension. Starliege Photon Blast Dragon, and Constellar Pleiades in the side. We've got 3 copies of Spell Card, Soul Exchange, 3 Swords of Concealing Light, Trickstar, Canadia, and Aqua Angel, which is a 4 suite that gets to play Trickstar Light Stage really good in boarded games, and 1 copy of Regenesis Warrior, 1 copy of the 7th one. So with that, let's check out a game. Our match is up against Cool Tune. Against other strategies, this deck just searches all of its counter traps and is able to functionally FTK, so I figured it would be interesting to watch the one deck that can actually interact with us. We are going first for game 1, and we've opened pretty well. We're going to begin with a copy of 7th Tachyon that'll grab a Schwarzschild from deck to hand. From here, we'll activate activate the effect of the Schwarzschild, and not much they can do about this. Schwarzschild will summon from deck a copy of Galaxy Afterglow, and then we'll overlay for Dragluxion. We'll activate Dragluxion's effect alongside Tachyon into a Ghost Mourner. Well, guess what? We can still use the cost of Dragluxion, which triggers the effect of Afterglow for a Gept. From here, we can just bring out the Cloud Dragon, use its effect into our opponent's clip into RS. We'll summon Tachyon Primal, and that will be unfortunately negated by the RS, which means we're going to have to overlay for a Prime Photon and a Full Armor Photon popping it. We've got them on 2 cards, which is pretty good, all things considered. Unfortunately, they have JJ Cooltoon and Cooltoon Synchro. Okay, this is probably the end of the game. This Nibiru is going to have to do a lot of work for us. They're going to normal summon a copy of Mix. Mix grabs Q, and then Q is going to be extra normaled off of the JJ Cooltoon, summoning from deck a copy of Red Nova. At least they are playing into it. From here, they're going to make a copy of Trackmaker. Trackmaker 1, Nova 2, Q3, revealing off the top. That help is not coming. Okay, well, now things are looking very dire. From this position, they're just going to be able to get that Rico to their side of the field, trigger the effect for a clip, and then afterwards they have the necessary materials on board to perform another synchro. Here, not only popping a card with the effect of the Mix and Graveyard, but making both RS and cycling from Loudness War into a Rico. We can force out using the Nibiru, but they're setting up for an OTK with a second Cooltoon Synchro, so we have to do it before they leave main. Unfortunately, the second Nibiru off the top is not going to do much, and they can just leverage the Cooltoon Synchro to get a Mix next turn and do it anyway. Going to main, they play around the Nibiru because they put it on top of the deck. They're going to cycle back the Rico, go into a copy of RS, and then 32 plus 56 is lethal. On to game 2. So frustrating game 1, but this second game is looking a lot better. You can see that we've opened Galaxy Tachyon once again. We will use it in order to grab from deck to hand a copy of Schwarzschild. We're going to put back this copy of Tachyon Transmigration because if they stop us, it'll probably be before we get to our 8. We'll bring out Afterglow again into Divine Golden Shadow Dragluxion, this time getting Ghost Ogred, also miserable. Okay, well, we can go for this Cloud Dragon afterwards and use its effect into a Bell. All right, so Trickstar Light Stage is a free 4, but we already have access to a 4, so we might as well just get the Candina and then discard it for the Galaxy Soldier in our hand. We're going to use its effect to grab a Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, then normal summon this Galaxy Summoner, bring back the Afterglow, and after that activate Summoner in order to modulate on our way to Galaxy Photon Dragon, which gets us another Tachyon Primal. From here, we can activate the Tachyon Primal, summoning it to our side of the field and activating the effect for the Tachyon Transmigration on our way to overlay these 2 8s for good old number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. In our opponent's draw phase, we can activate Tachyon Primal and the effect of Galaxy Photon Dragon as well to get the second counter trap. Good luck to them on a 4-card hand. They're going to begin with a copy of Ultimate Slayer. We will Transmigration that. Unfortunately, we do have to keep this monster on field. They'll go for Duelist Genesys afterwards. I'm going to hold the Tachyon Transmigration for the normal, I think. They'll go Cooltoon Synchro for a Mix, and then afterwards they're going to normal summon the Mix. They'll activate the Mix effect, and I feel if they had the option not to do that, they wouldn't. So the Transmigration's coming down, and they'll pass turn. All right, great. Well, let's just go through the motions, get to lethal through anything that could potentially stop us. We'll just go ahead and summon out this copy of Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon and use the effect for the 3rd Transmigration on our way to lethal. We will go for a copy of Genesys Dragon and Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord to completely close the door. We'll get in for well over game. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and this hand does not look good. Okay. Well, our opponent's going first. They're going to begin with a copy of Mix that will grab from deck to hand a copy of Q. That means they already have the JJ. They'll set the JJ, normal summon the Q, and then summon from deck a copy of Valor rather than Red Nova. This means they already have access to the Rico, and they'll be cycling back the Valor using the effect of Remix. They're going to banish a copy of Tachyon Transmigration here. That's frustrating. And grab a copy of Cooltoon Synchro. They're going to Synchro off for a Remix, and then cycle using JJ Cooltoon for a Rico, activating its effect for a clip before they end their turn. Okay, can we do this? Well, maybe. The draw off the top is actually pretty good. It's always going to be a turn 5 situation. Let's begin with a copy of 7th Tachyon for a Schwarzschild. We'll put back the dupe. From here, we can activate the effect of the Schwarzschild, summoning once again from deck a copy of Afterglow. Then we can overlay for Dragluxion. Once again, they have the Ghost Mourner, but we can still activate the Dragluxion in order to trigger the effect of the Afterglow and grab a copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from deck. From here, we can activate our 7th Ascension to grab the 7th one, then cheat out its effect using the Graveyard effect of 7th Ascension for Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Now, this demands a response, so they're going to cycle back the effect Valor as expected, and then go to RS, popping using the Grave effect of Mix. We'll go for Code in the battle phase because RS can only negate during the main phase, get a copy of her Genesis Archfiend, grab a dragon, and then try to use the effect of Gept here. I was just being cheeky, no need a Ghost Ogre. We'll pass turn here, and our opponent will draw. From this position, it looks like they are set up to win, but we have a Nibiru. Hopefully, they're not playing around the 6th card Nibiru because we had a great opportunity for it last turn and just didn't fire pirate. They're going to normal summon a copy of Mix into a Q, and then afterwards, they are just going to go ahead and perform a synchro summon, once again going for Trackmaker and the effect of Mix in order to pop our Genesys Archfiend. Last thing on board is Dragluxion, which is going to be bounced with the Trackmaker. They'll go JJ Cooltoon into Q, trigger the effect of the Q for a Red Nova, and they'll make another Trackmaker, Red Nova and Q here. Looking at the top of the deck, Code and Swords of Revealing Light. They're going to banish the Code into Rico activation, and I think we probably have to do it here before they can potentially threaten anything. We'll use Nibiru to wipe the board. They will get a big-ass token, but be forced to set a card and pass. We get back Regenesis Dragon here, and I don't know, maybe we can make it work with a pair of Archfiends. The game's been simplified down, and we have the Regenesis line online. Let's summon out this copy of Regenesis Archfiend, activate its effect. That will be Veilered, but we can still get the board big with Regenesis Dragon overlaying 4 or 5, and then a Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Photon Dragon. We don't have lethal, we can bring them to 1,000, but it's still a pretty good position to be in because the Cypher Blade can trade for the JJ and force them onto a 1-card Sharder. They're going to draw for turn, normal summon Clip, and go to the battle phase. We did it! So we're back with the deck, and pretty successful if I do say so myself. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, it's consistent. Sure, you've only got the one Schwarzschild, but with 6 7th Tachyons and a dozen ways to search them, you're almost always going to hit it. 2, it demands answers. Dragluxion is a must negate. Tachyon Dragon is a must remove. There's so much that decks have to respect. And 3, it's pretty good going second. There's a reason the TCG is divided. This deck puts out an unreal amount of damage off of almost no investment. And the cons. 1, it does really want to win the die roll. Yes, this deck can OTK, but there's some decks in the format that don't even build a board at all. Monarch, for instance, can just loop you. 2, it's hard. There's so many locks you have to manage, especially if you're playing the pure version of this build, and while the Regenesis Splash is nice, it runs up against them as well. And 3, you've got this one giant asshole you must protect at all costs. You can stop cards like Ultislayer, but cards like Kaijus give you a much harder time. All in all, Galaxy Photon is well at home in the top tier of the Genesis meta. Schwarzschild supremacy.